Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Glad to have everybody in. Come on in. Going to get this shared out, get some people in here. There's the first part. Now, Facebook, go find my people. Awesome. Good morning, chain breakers. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Laura, glad you jumped in here already. Hopefully we'll have several others jump in here in the next few seconds. Yes, it looks a little different for me this morning. I am not at home. I am in Nashville right now and will be today and tomorrow. I'm down here for some business meetings. So I'm kind of setting back a little farther. I hope that's not an issue. Normally, hey, Sherry, glad you're here. Jeremy, glad you're here. Susan, everybody's starting to jump in now. Awesome. So let me start off the way I normally do. Good morning. It is Thursday, December the 12th, 2019. This is going to be a fantastic day because that's the way I choose for my day to be. Hi, I am Brad Smith. I am your host for Chainbreakers 365 Live and the creator of hashtag Uplift and Rise. I want to welcome you in here today. Yeah, I love Nashville too. I'm looking forward to productive business meetings the next 2 days. Hey, Patty, how you doing, sweetheart? Joining from home. Glad to have you in here too. Connie, glad to see you in here. So I'm down in Nashville. As many of you know, my major job works for TrueCar, and I'm here for some district meetings today. We've got some top-level execs that are coming in as well, and then my team is going to stay on through tomorrow, and we've got some meetings going to try to see what we can do to learn from each other. Unfortunately, when you're not in your own environment, you can't control things near as well. As a result, you're seeing the lighting being a little weird with this in my eye. Hope that's not an issue. Normally, my computer sits up a little higher. I can set it on a few books so you're not looking up my nostrils. But in order to, here at the hotel, the desk is a lot lower, and in order to kind of frame this right so you're not staring at the ceiling, I'm just going to try to set back and see what I can't do to help keep this going. Hey, Jeff, glad you're here. So we talked a little bit the last couple days about our own self-image. And what we need to do is keep it in proper perspective. The other day, and I'm in Romans 12, and Romans 2, many of us are familiar with. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Now, a lot of folks have taken that to absolutely focus that on what Christianity is, to try to make yourself a better Christian. But there is more around this verse, and I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. He does talk about a lot of Christian gifting and that type of thing, but as we get into Romans 12:3, Paul goes on to say, for by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. So what does that necessarily mean? Well, we've talked a little bit about how our own self-image can hold us down, keep us stagnant, keep us stationary, keep us from moving forward and taking action to move into the fulfillment of the plan that God has for us. But at the same time, Paul warns that we can also think of ourselves too highly. We can let our own self-image be one that is a boastful ego, that we think of ourselves too highly, and I think I said that. But what I want to talk about is, because I've been guilty both directions, okay? I've been, because a lot of cases you can have, I had a high level of self-confidence, but that high level of self-confidence can come across as being egocentric. And it's important to not allow yourself to get there. You need to keep humility in balance and in check in order to keep you in a proper balance to be able to get along with everybody. Because we know that a haughty, arrogant, egotistical spirit is one that is not appreciated. Hey, Nat, glad you got here, buddy. Glad you're in here this morning. So at the same time, I do want to go back, because what Paul talks about specifically, and this is good both directions, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the faith that God has distributed to each of you. So what are we really talking about? He's talking about continually going in and renewing your mind, continuing going in and doing a self-check, seeing where you are in your own mind, and being very honest with yourself within sober judgment, right? We're not talking about being drunk. We're talking about taking a proper evaluation with who we really truly are. Now, I talked about at some point, I have been at a position where I let my ego kind of over control, and I had to learn humility the hard way. Now, the way that actually came to me the hard way is I had a huge successful track record at taking businesses in all sorts of different industries, but mainly in the car business. I did it in retail, I did it in real estate, I did it in commercial roofing, I did it in commercial energy, but taking businesses and totally turning them around, taking them from maybe unprofitable positions. Maybe they were in a good shape and I made them great, but again and again and again and again, I helped turn businesses around and make them extremely profitable, or much, much better than they were. And as a result, it gave me a little bit of an ego. But what also ended up happening is the people that I partnered up with then took those opportunities to cash out and get out. And it left me holding the bag. It left me short of being able to completely reward me. So then, to the other side, I then found almost a decade track record of what I found of myself was I was stopping short of really being completely who I could and should be. What I knew I was capable of, what I knew I could absolutely accomplish, I kept myself short of that because I was afraid of that rug being pulled out. I thought that having this level of success was okay. It was all right, because if I took it higher, all I was going to do was get the rug pulled out from under me. But what I was doing was not fulfilling God's purpose, not fulfilling what I knew I was capable of, not fulfilling what I knew that I could absolutely do. Danelle Delgado talks about, if you don't, who fails? If you fail, who? You guys know the quote. Who's going to pay the price if you don't win? I know that's not it. It's short. It's close. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Who loses if you don't win? There it was. Who loses if you don't win? And there were a lot of people, there were a lot of companies, there were a lot of businesses, there was a lot of family around me that wasn't winning because I wasn't winning, because I couldn't pour into them, because I didn't have all of me. It took a wake-up call. It took that thing happening. It took me stepping back in and taking self-assessment and being real with myself. Now, I believe truly, honestly, that God spoke to me. I heard very clearly just this last spring, you're playing small. You're playing small. Yeah, I was. I was leaving myself short. I was leaving myself not giving everything I had, because at that point I could not, I was afraid of the rug being pulled out, right? I was afraid of, if I gave it my all, what would happen? But we have to keep doing that sober assessment of ourselves all the time, in all areas, in every area of our life, not only in business, in our family relationships, in our personal relationships, in our involvement in community activities, and involvement in your social groups, in involvement with your church. Give it everything you have, and you will be rewarded. Absolutely, you'll be rewarded. Robin, glad to have you in here. So, my friends, take a sober assessment continually. Don't just do it today, but continue to do it on throughout your life so that you can take a serious look at where you are and what you're putting out. What you're giving to others, what you're providing to others, who you are in relationships. Give everything you have. Give it everything you have in every single relationship and environment you have. Because if you're not, you're leaving yourself short. Hey, Leanne, glad you're here as well this morning. So continue to take proper assessment and do what we need to do. Now, I want to take a look because majority of the people really do not have a strong personal self-image. We have to be able to associate those small things, right? And we end up keeping ourselves small because we are chained. This is what Chain Breakers is about. We keep ourselves chained down, kept from fulfilling the destiny and the purpose that God has for us, the plan he has laid out in front of us, because we play small. Now, what's the messages we hear? What's the messages we say? I have heard this coming out of a lot of people's mouths. I just don't think fast enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not smart enough. I just don't think through these things very well. My friends, where you have been in your past, it is in your past. That is not the book ahead of you. Your future, what is to come, is not written yet. Here's the great thing. You get to choose how to write that next chapter. What I don't want you to do is take the pen and put it in somebody else's hands. You see, it's nobody's choice other than your own as to how you are going to respond. It has nobody's choice of how you live your life other than the way you choose to live it. You see, whether you play small, whether you play large, doesn't matter, as long as you are giving it everything you have. Now, Paul goes on in Romans 2 to talk about the fact that we all have different roles. We don't compare yourself one to another. Don't compare yourself, well, look what he's got, look what he's doing. Yesterday, I used the analogy of popcorn. We put all these kernels of corn, we put it in the oil, we heat it all up, but all these kernels don't pop at once. Some pop very small, some don't pop at all, some absolutely explode, right? And they're great, big, huge kernels. But we all have, just like the corn, we all have different roles. We all respond to those challenges in different ways, right? Because in some cases, what we're talking about, right? In some cases, take broccoli, for instance. If you put it in hot water, what will happen to broccoli? It will become soft. We put an egg in hot water, and it will harden. We put kernels of corn in hot oil, and what will happen? It will explode. So what you have and what happens to you is totally dependent upon how you choose to be able to relate to your environment. Hey, Bob Jones, how you doing, cuz? Glad you're in here live this morning. So, my friends, here is your opportunity to decide yourself how you are going to choose to react to the environment you're in. We all have different giftings. What is mine isn't necessarily yours. What I choose to do with my life isn't necessarily even your path. You see, my wife and I, we have different callings. She has different desires, and that's fine, because we're all called to a different purpose. We're all called to different roles. It's how we all fulfill those roles in the body of Christ is how we will choose to fulfill our lives, both in the Christian world as well as in the secular. It's no different. We all have that role to be fulfilled. Roger, I'm glad you got in here, but my friend, you're here right here as I'm getting ready to sign off for today. My friends, I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you for taking part. I'll still be here in Nashville tomorrow morning, and I'll be doing this message here live from my hotel room. But I want to thank you for being in here. I want to thank you for joining. If this has meant something to you, I hope you continue with those likes and those loves. Comment onto each other. I'm glad to have you in here. We'll be here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, same way we are every single Monday through Friday. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow right here on Chainbreakers 365 Live. Thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye now.